I was 5. The caption beneath read, "He used to be the kind of man I admired. I don't know who he is anymore." The comment section was a battlefield. Some defended her. That generation doesn't understand sharing. Family money is still family money. Others were harsher. Sounds like she's just mad she didn't get her way. You don't sue someone over a gift. But it didn't matter who sided with whom. The damage was done. My name was out there. My story, twisted and shared in pieces, had become everyone else's entertainment. I closed the laptop slowly, gently, like it was fragile glass. That afternoon I swept the porch. Something about the rhythm soothed me. Across the street I saw Ethan's bike leaned against a tree. He wasn't there. But the sight of it cracked something open in my chest. A sliver of memory, him laughing as I pushed him down the driveway the first time he rode without training wheels. His little fists raised in triumph. Now I hadn't heard from him in over a week. He was 10, and stuck in the middle of a storm neither of us had wanted. That evening my sister June called. "You hanging in there?" she asked. "As much as a man can when he's the villain of a story he didn't write," I said. She sighed. "I tried talking to Lindsay, and she says you've lost your way, that the money's poisoned you." "I haven't spent a cent." "I know," she whispered. "I told her that. But she's convinced herself you owe her." "I owe her nothing." "I know that too," she said. "But people, they're picking sides. And right now hers is louder." We sat in silence for a while. "Walter," she said finally, "maybe it's time someone else speaks up." I didn't answer. Because the truth was I was tired, not from the noise, but from being silenced by it. I walked to the hallway, opened the drawer, and pulled out a manila envelope labeled letters. Inside were handwritten notes from Ethan years ago, drawings of race cars, a thank you card for a toy truck, a Christmas picture of me, him and Ruth in crayon. One note said, "Grandpa, you're my hero because you always come when I need help." I read it twice. Then I made a decision, not about lawyers, not about Lindsay, but about myself. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to argue. I was going to live in a way that made the truth louder than any post. The Ohio Lottery Commission office, the edge of downtown Columbus, a glass and steel building that gleamed under the late July sun like something built for people with shinier lives than mine. I parked my old Ford truck between two spotless SUVs and walked inside the ticket sealed in a plastic bag tucked carefully into the inside pocket of my denim jacket. The lobby was cold, sterile. A woman behind the front desk smiled with the kind of practiced calm I used to see at funeral homes. "Name?" she asked. "Walter Reed." She checked her list, nodded once, then gestured toward a glass door. "Go ahead, Mr. Reed. They're expecting you." I stepped through into a quiet waiting area, pale blue walls, magazines I didn't recognize. A water cooler bubbling in the corner like it had something to say. A few minutes later, a woman in a navy blazer approached. Short hair, square glasses, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Reed," she said warmly. "I'm Laura Kim. I'll be assisting you today." She extended her hand. I shook it. "You brought the ticket." I nodded and pulled it out slowly, laying it on the desk in front of her like it might crumble from being handled too much. Laura examined it carefully, placing it under a small scanner. "This will just take a minute," she said. I sat back and watched her fingers move. Calm, professional, no fanfare. Finally, she looked up. "Well," she said, "congratulations. You are without question the winner of last Saturday's Powerball drawing. $120 million. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just nodded. She must have seen something in my face because she paused. "Are you okay, Mr. Reed?" "I think so," I said. "Just letting it land." "We'll need 48 hours to complete the verification process," she explained. "That includes security review, legal documentation, tax disclosures. After that, you'll choose between a lump sum or annuity, and then, well, then it's yours." She slid over a thick folder. "We've also arranged a press event should you choose to accept public recognition. Given the amount, it's encouraged for transparency." I opened the folder and looked at the invitation. "Wednesday, 10:00 a.m., public check presentation, Ohio Lottery Headquarters." "I don't have to do this publicly, do I?" I asked. "No, sir," she said. "But I'll be honest, your name's already made its way into the system. You'll be known either way. This gives you a chance to tell your version of the story." Her eyes met mine with quiet understanding. I nodded slowly. "All right, I'll do it." When I walked out into the sunlight, I shielded my eyes and breathed in deep. Not because of the money, because of the choice. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept the folder beside me on the kitchen table next to my old coffee mug and Ruth's photo. The numbers were burned into my mind now, not because they meant wealth, but because they had pulled back the curtain on everything. My phone buzzed around 9 p.m. It was a text from an unknown number. "Saw your name on the list. Congrats, let's talk." Gavin. I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, another one. You know we deserve part of it. You wouldn't even have the ticket without Lindsay. Still nothing. Then came the third message. We're going to take legal action if you don't agree to a settlement. I turned off the phone and walked out to the porch. The sky was still dusky clouds tinged with peach and lavender. I sat on the porch swing and let it creak beneath me. Across the street, Ethan's bike was still parked by the tree. I hadn't seen him in days. I closed my eyes and imagined him knocking on my door, holding a drawing like he used to, saying, "Look, Grandpa, I made this for you." But no knock came. Only the breeze. Only the weight of what came next. I wasn't afraid of money. I wasn't afraid of Lindsay or Gavin or the internet. I was afraid of forgetting who I was. But sitting on that porch with the ticket verified and the ceremony approaching, I made myself a quiet promise. They could have the noise. I'd choose the truth. If you're still watching, comment 1, so I know you're still with me. I stood in front of the mirror that morning, straightening the navy blue tie Ruth gave me years ago. It still smelled faintly of cedar and starch. My only suit worn last to her funeral had been pressed the night before. I didn't feel rich. I didn't feel lucky. I just felt steady. The Ohio Lottery Commission building buzzed with activity when I arrived. Cameramen adjusted lights. Reporters scribbled names on notepads. A woman handed me a name badge and a bottle of water. "Mr. Reed, they'll call you up shortly," I nodded, clutching the folder of documents tighter than necessary. Then came the moment. "Ladies and gentlemen," Laura Kim announced, "please welcome the official winner of this week's Powerball drawing, Mr. Walter Reed." I stepped onto the small platform beside the oversized check. It looked ridiculous, comically large, with my name stretched across it in bold letters. Flashes lit up. Reporters leaned forward. "How does it feel to be a millionaire, Mr. Reed?" "What are your plans?" I cleared my throat. "Unexpected," I said. "But I believe what you do after a blessing says more than the blessing itself." More flashes, scribbles, murmurs of approval. Then a voice rang out, cutting through the room like a siren. That ticket was mine. Heads turned. Security tensed. "Lindsay!" She stormed in red-faced hair, perfect heels, loud against the linoleum floor. Gavin trailed behind her, trying unsuccessfully to hold her back. "That ticket was mine," she shouted again. I gave it to him with the clear understanding we'd share the winnings. Reporters swiveled their cameras like bloodhounds catching a scent. "Mr. Reed," one asked, "is this true? Did you agree to split the prize?" Lindsay pushed toward the stage. "Everyone at dinner heard me. I said half was mine. He's stealing from his own daughter." I took a breath. My heart pounded, but my voice stayed level. She did give me the ticket, as a Father's Day gift. With no conditions, no contract, just a crumpled joke passed across the table. "She's claiming verbal agreement," another reporter said. I nodded. "She's also the same person who took over $13,000 from my account without asking, then painted me as a villain on social media when I stopped her access." Gasps, more camera clicks. I raised my daughter with everything I had. Every hour I worked, every dollar I saved went into her future. But the moment she saw more money than she could imagine, she didn't come to say congratulations. She came to claim a piece of it. Lindsay's mouth opened, then closed. I turned toward the cameras. "Let me be clear," I said. "This money didn't change me. It revealed what was already there, and what was missing in others." Reporters scribbled faster now. Lindsay stood frozen, her fury now shaded with something else, uncertainty. "Do you plan to take legal action?" someone asked her. Gavin stepped forward. "We're considering our options." I looked at them both, not with anger, but with finality. "You can go to court," I said, "but the truth will follow you there too." Security guided them gently out of the room. She didn't fight, not anymore. When they were gone, Laura touched my arm gently. "Would you like to continue, Mr. Reed?" I nodded. The rest of the ceremony passed in a blur. I said all the things I was supposed to say about gratitude, about integrity, about using the money to do something good, but my mind was still back at the podium, not on the check, on the truth. After the ceremony, as I exited through the side door to avoid more press, I noticed a man standing quietly near the sidewalk. Gray suit, calm face. Harold Matthews, Gavin's father. "I saw the live feed," he said. "May I speak with you?" I nodded. "I was at that Father's Day dinner," he said softly. "I saw the whole thing. I know your version is the truth." I studied him. "Then why didn't you say something? I didn't want to shame my son. But now, I think shame might be what he needs." He paused. "If you want, I'll issue a public statement." I looked at the oversized check still tucked under my arm. "Not for me," I said. "For the people watching who don't know what to believe." He nodded once firmly. "Then I'll write it today." We shook hands. For the first time since that ridiculous ticket landed on my table, I felt like I had footing again. Not because I won, but because I stood. It started with a single post. Harold Matthews, founder of Matthews & Co. Financial respected member of the community and father of Gavin. The man who'd stood beside Lindsay during her tirade finally broke his silence. The statement was clear, professional, and devastating in its simplicity. As a witness present at the Father's Day gathering, I wish to clarify that the lottery ticket in question was presented to Mr. Walter Reed as a gift by his daughter. There was no discussion agreement or even suggestion of shared ownership. The ticket was offered casually, with laughter, and without expectation. I cannot in good conscience remain silent while misinformation spreads and a good man's name is dragged through the mud. It went viral within an hour. By noon, local news channels had picked it up. By evening, talk radio shows were debating it. And by the next morning, Lindsay's latest video had mysteriously disappeared. I sat on my porch with a cup of hot tea, watching the sunrise creep over the rooftops of my quiet street. For the first time in weeks, I felt like the ground under my feet had stopped shifting. A text came from June. Harold's statement is everywhere. People are starting to come around. Even the bakery lady asked if she'd judged too quickly. I smiled not out of satisfaction, but out of sheer relief. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted room to breathe again. That afternoon, I stopped by the post office. As I walked through the parking lot, a man in a baseball cap waved to me. "Hey, Mr. Reed. Just wanted to say I saw what they said about you. I didn't believe it." Glad the truth's out now. Another person, Mrs. Gentry from the church Ruth and I used to attend, offered me a smile and a small bag of blueberry scones. "Still warm," she said gently. "I'm sorry for doubting you." I thanked her and walked home with more than pastries in my hands. I walked with my name back. That night, I opened the kitchen drawer and pulled out a stack of letters from Ethan. Most of them were old. Crayon drawings, thank you notes, little scribbles he'd written when he was just learning to spell. But on top of the stack was a new envelope. I hadn't noticed it before. My name was written in pencil, slightly crooked, slightly shy. Inside was a folded piece of notebook paper. A drawing of a garage, just like the one I used to work in, with a big sign on top, Grandpa's Garage. Only honest repairs. Beneath it, Ethan had written, "When I grow up, I want to work with you. Mom says we can't talk right now, but I still love you." I stared at the note for a long time, then I placed it back in the drawer gently like it was made of glass. The following morning, I made a decision. I called a realtor in Dayton. I'd always liked that town, close enough to visit friends, far enough to disappear if needed. Then I called Tom Henderson, owner of the classic car restoration shop I used to admire from afar. "It's still for sale," he said. "You sure you want that much work at your age?" "I'm not buying it to slow down," I said. "I'm buying it to start over." Within days, everything began to shift. My house in Lancaster sold quickly. The truck got tuned up for the drive west. And the moment I stepped inside that garage in Dayton, I felt at peace with the smell of old engines and oil-soaked wood. I hung a new sign over the office, Woods & Reed Auto Restoration. Below it, "Built on Integrity." Some people thought I added Lindsay's last name to send a message, but it wasn't about her. It was about Ethan. A reminder that some things, some names deserve to be honored, no matter how complicated the story behind them. 3 young mechanics joined the shop within the month. We restored a '66 Mustang for a Vietnam vet who cried when he saw it roll out. We fixed up a battered El Camino for a single mom starting a delivery business. Each job was honest, each handshake real. And my phone, though, quiet still buzzed now and then, sometimes from Ethan's school, sometimes a number I didn't recognize but let ring, because I'd stopped chasing apologies. What I had now was better: truth, purpose, and a small shop in Dayton where grease meant work, not scandal, and where if Ethan ever found his way back to me, he'd know exactly where to go. The day we officially opened the shop, the sky was overcast and smelled faintly of rain and gasoline. It reminded me of the summer I first turned a wrench in my uncle's garage, back when I was just a lanky kid in a hand-me-down ball cap and dirt under every fingernail. But this time, it was mine. Woods & Reed Auto Restoration stood at the edge of an old industrial block in Dayton. The paint was fresh. The concrete still held echoes of old engines. I liked that. It made the place feel earned. People came not in crowds, but one by one. A local paper ran a short piece, "Retired Mechanic Reopens, for Passion Not Profit." A few old-timers dropped by to shake hands. One guy brought his '72 Chevy with a busted carburetor and said if anyone's going to fix it right, it's a man who's been lied about and kept standing. I smiled at that. I didn't advertise the money. I didn't hang the lottery check on the wall. It stayed in a folder locked away in a filing cabinet beneath invoices and inspection reports. I wanted the work to speak louder than the win. The mechanics I hired were young Caleb, 24, just out of tech school, Mason, a single dad with 2 kids, and Ava, who could rebuild a transmission faster than most men twice her age. They didn't care about my past. They cared about learning about craft, about doing something with their hands that couldn't be undone with words. And every Friday after we locked up, we sat on milk crates out back, shared sandwiches, and talked about life. Not about wealth. Not about gossip. Just about how things used to be, and how they could still be better. Across the street was a small community center. It had a sagging roof and peeling paint, but I noticed something kids still played out front. Mom still waited at the door with grocery bags. It was warm.